What is up, you beautiful bubble butts and dumpster sluts? Rosary here. When I was in high school, I came down with a cold. I was feeling pretty miserable, as one does under such circumstances. My mom, being the caring woman she is, took it upon herself to cure me. She boiled a pot of water, put some Vicks in it, and had me sit at the table over the pot with a towel over my head. And I just sat there, breathing in the steam and pouring mucus out of my nose. It was horrible. Would not recommend. So now, when I get sick, my mom always asks, "How come you didn't tell me?" And I'm like, "Because you'll boil my face." Anyway, this is the story of my recent experience with getting COVID. August 26th, I was in a Sam's Club and got my first COVID shot. I thought, what the hell, it's free, right? Some people say the first shot is nothing, and the second shot messes them up the most. For me, that wasn't the case. I felt pretty lousy through that whole weekend, but by Monday, I was feeling better. The following Tuesday, August 31st, I woke up feeling great, went into work, and by my first break, I felt like absolute dog shit. I could tell something was wrong. I ended up leaving early that day, went home and took a nap. I was feeling absolutely exhausted. Two of the people I live with had also come down with something. Now, they had both caught COVID pretty early in the pandemic, so I wasn't too worried about getting it, since somehow I had avoided getting it the first time when they had it. I thought I was getting like a regular cold, which I should have thought was strange since they haven't released a new version in a while. But I didn't think anything of it. I also suspected it might be a sinus infection because I was feeling a lot of pressure in my face. I called out of work for the next few days, thinking my situation had improved. At some point, I told my mom I wasn't feeling well, and she offered to bring me something if I needed it. Well, that weekend, I thought, yes, I'll have my mom bring me some food and some knockoff Mucinex. So I hit her up, and she lets me know she's out of town for a few days. Just great. Well, since I thought I was getting better, and honestly I was just being lazy about getting out of bed, I headed off to the store to pick up the meds. And being that I had been in bed the past few days, I found somewhere I could just walk around for a bit, try to get some blood flow to the old Chevrolet legs. After I ate, got the meds, and had a jaunty stroll, I returned home. To my dismay, I realized I am in fact not feeling better. I was completely exhausted, like I had just run a marathon. Therefore, I crawled back into bed and waited to die. A day or two later, my mom returns from her trip and asks how I'm doing. I let her know I'm not doing so great, and coming from me, she knows that means something is catastrophically wrong. She offers to take me to urgent care, and I accept. September 6th just so happened to be Labor Day. We're driving around trying to find an urgent care that's open. We end up driving to at least 3 different spots before we find one where I can be seen. Now at this point, I was experiencing what I call brain fog. I was having a real hard time thinking and making decisions, so Googling addresses and finding out if they're open was becoming a daunting challenge. But we finally arrive at an open urgent care, and to my surprise, there isn't a huge wait. So I walk in and talk to the check-in person. She asks what I'm in for, and I relay that I thought I might have a sinus infection. She asks if I think I might be COVID, and I say, I'm really not sure. I suppose it could be. I'm seen shortly after. They lead me to the back to take my vitals. I'm then sent back to the waiting room. Now at this moment, I really had to poop. I'd been holding it in for a while, but I thought, now's my chance. These things always take forever. So I pop off into the gentleman's room and pop a squat. As soon as my turd cutter releases her bounty, I can hear my name being called through the door. Fuck. I finish up and exit the bathroom. Luckily, I was just in time as they were calling my name again. I then proceed to follow someone outside. They sit me in a plastic chair and swab my throat, then my nose. When I mentioned earlier that 2 of the people I live with had caught the Rona, I had to get tested. I went to the testing site. It was like a giant drive-through operation. The line was humongous, but eventually we got to the front and they had me roll down my window and lower my mask just below my nose. The guy told me to close my eyes and lean back. When he went to plunge the Q-tip into the depths of my nasals, he missed and bonked the side of my nose, causing me to open my eyes in surprise, just as he quickly tried again. So I got to see the entire thing go into my face. This time, however, I knew what to expect, and the person doing it was a pro. Now again, I'm told to go back inside and wait for further instructions. Some time passes and a lady with a clipboard walks in and calls a handful of names, including mine. She asks this gaggle of people to follow her. We exit the building into the parking lot and into another building that looks like a temporary shack. As I walk in and see the ambiance of shower doors closing off access to the little rooms lining the sides of the building, and the fact that there's no floor, it's just parking lot underneath, I realize, oh, I got it. I'm sent to wait in a room for a bit before someone comes in to see me. She asks what my symptoms were, and I relay how I'd been feeling over the past few days. Before I could even finish, she goes, "Yeah, you got it." And I'm like, oh, okay. She fills me in on what to expect, gives me a note for work, gives me a prescription to the pharmacy, and then sends me on my way. My mom had recently recovered from it. She told me to ask if I could get an infusion, so I made sure to ask before I left. The lady seeing me told me that those are usually reserved for the elderly or the obese, people that are at a higher risk of dying. She put in the request, but said there'd be no guarantee I'd be able to get it. I thanked her for at least putting in the request. After all this, I go back home and go right to sleep. The following day, my mom swings by to bring me my prescription since the pharmacy was closed the night prior due to the holiday. I was having trouble getting out of bed right away due to the fact that I was puking my guts out. When I take too long to respond to her texts or phone calls, she likes to do this little thing where she pounds on my window like a fucking psycho. So she got to hear me vom in the worst way. She also brought me a ton of food, water, and Pedialyte. So Mom, if you hear this, I am eternally grateful. Somehow, my luck improved. September 8th, I was scheduled to get the infusion. So I take a trip to the hospital, where they hooked me up to a machine and pumped me full of drugs. Shortly after that, I started feeling better, little by little. A week later, I had a video call with my primary doctor, which was a surprise to me because I didn't think I had a primary. He let me know I should be able to return to work soon, and some of the after effects I may still feel for a while. At the time of writing this, I still have moments where the brain fog hits. I get really tired out of nowhere and just out of breath randomly. A week after the video call with the doctor, he scheduled me for an EKG because my heart was still acting wonky. They hooked me up to a different machine and ran some tests. I wasn't able to get any pictures of this one. It was all over so quickly. Which pretty much leads us up to now. I'm still occasionally suffering from the after effects, but things seem to be getting a little better each day. So apologies that there hasn't been a new Red Dead Redemption video in a while. I was kind of preoccupied with other things. We should be able to get to filming them again soon though. I was lucky I had a backlog of recorded episodes for Murdered Sole Suspect. That way at least I was able to maintain a weekly upload schedule of one game. But yeah, I don't really have a point in making this. I just wanted to talk about my experience. I hope you all are doing well. Please take care of yourselves. No one else will. Oh yeah, and be safe. Don't do anything I would do.